So if you are counting your carbs, and there's validity in just understanding your numbers, right? Everybody says that. Understand your numbers, know something about what's going on. So I definitely value labs, but let's look at what you're actually putting into the system. So let's say you're putting in 300 grams of carbs a day. You're having quinoa 3 times a day, right? And you're like, okay, well, that's giving me, I think a half a cup of quinoa is 42 grams. So you're having a cup of quinoa 3 times a day. You're getting 250 grams of carbohydrates from quinoa. So quinoa is a very good protein source, right? Plant-based, blah, blah, blah. But it's got a lot of carbohydrates when you're using a lot of it. So let's say that's happening. And then you have all your other carbs. So you're definitely exceeding 300. And that's a very high number. But maybe you look to 150 grams of carbohydrates. That's a very well-balanced amount of carbohydrates. We start to see how your fasting glucose would go down. We'd start to see how your 3-month average would go down with your hemoglobin A1C. And we'd really start to see, though, that you're getting good quality carbs in a good amount of fueling the system, but you're not overwhelming the system. So you don't have a lot of circulating blood glucose. And that's a really good point, right? And then your body is actually able to get enough fuel. And timing is really important for fueling the body as well. And that's where it can help insulin resistance go down as a biomarker, as a lab test, so that you can see how you can reduce insulin resistance. The other way to reduce insulin resistance is turn off your brain, because again, the brain is a huge muscle. And I've seen this time and time again. I've probably done these tests about 500 times in the last 6 years. And I've seen them go down very well. We've had a patient with an insulin level of 96 5 years ago who now lives at about 15 or 16. That's a pretty good change. We noticed a 96 down to 48 within a year, and then the insulin level continued to stay down and low. And now this person has done this is a great metric to go from 96, which is the highest insulin level I've ever seen. I often see 29, 40, and it usually takes us about 6 months to get that into the high teens. And that's a remarkable change in just doing that with Inflamex Shake and our advanced metabolism, which is vanadium and chromium together. And the person taking a half a teaspoon of cinnamon in their food a day. These are very simple things to make sure that we're lowering inflammation, because that's important as well. We don't see that in these markers necessarily. And then reducing insulin resistance, so then the body reduces the production of insulin. So kind of reverse engineering that idea so that you can see that flow.